I am Stephen James Peterson, and this is the Raven Rising Podcast. Today's guest is Kevin Tobosa, the founder of Brave.
I can hear you this time.
Hey, there we go.
Awesomeness. Let's begin.
Excellent.
Mr. Kevin Tobosa, welcome to the Raven Rising Podcast.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me.
So, due to the fact that I know who you are, but my listeners don't, can you give them a quick update on who Kevin Tobosa is and what you're doing for work these days?
You bet. Well, that's kind of a deep question. We'll just stick with the work part. How about that? Who am I? Who is Kevin? So yeah, right now I'm the principal and only employee of a fairly new company called Brave, and we're a creative strategy and marketing firm.
And I saw that you were also doing some work with what was that fundraiser that you guys did this spring?
Yeah, so I'm also the co-director of Giving Hearts Day, which is a 24-hour online fundraising event. And this year we raised money for over 400 nonprofits throughout North Dakota and Western Minnesota.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
So tell me about Brave. What are you trying to accomplish with that? And I know that you have a long history in the marketing world. So yeah, get me up to speed on what Brave is.
Sure. Well, yeah. So I've worked in, I've done marketing in the healthcare industry, and I've worked in advertising in general. My most recent job in the ad industry was as a creative director for an ad agency, and I left in November to start Brave. And what I really wanted to focus on, so the idea of the name and behind the name is that I really wanted it to be a company that challenged my clients right out of the gate. So right when you decide to work with us, a company that challenged you to kind of think fearlessly and act fearlessly when it comes to your organization's brand and your strategy and your culture.
Perfect. I love it. The listeners are going to love that. So yeah, tell us, what type of work are you doing with that? I mean, so you're challenging the clients, you're getting them out there with their strategy. Are you going to be mostly digital based? Because I know that you're doing some film work on the side. What are the main things that you're doing right now for people?
Yeah, so primarily right now it is around content and communications. So yeah, we're absolutely utilizing video as a means of storytelling for organization brands, getting out there through social media and all the digital channels. But we still do some traditional as well. So that's something, and maybe that places me age-wise. We're in our 40s here, so so maybe the traditional media is a little hard to let go of. But I really believe that a good balance strategy is when it comes to media is also a prudent one, and can be very effective as well, because there's a lot of noise on the digital channels. So sometimes the best way to get through, especially in a local, when you're talking about local things or regional initiatives like Giving Hearts Day, traditional mass media works really well too.
You guys did such a beautiful job with that. I mean, with Giving Hearts Day, you guys were everywhere. There was no ignoring you.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved the work that you guys accomplished with that this last year.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun. We, like I said, we did. We got to innovate how we approach fundraising in a lot of different ways, which was a blast, because when I worked in just the advertising world, one of my biggest frustrations was the fact that I kind of came in at maybe the end of, or only having a portion of the strategic process within my purview. So maybe, market positioning had been decided, or go-to-market strategies have already been kind of decided or somewhat shaped. And what I really enjoy doing is, taking it from, front to back. So planning the strategy, getting all of that thinking done ahead of time that informs all the creative that we do on the back end of it. So with Giving Hearts Day, we absolutely had that opportunity, and we really felt like it was a good chance to test a lot of things that we knew to be true about how people give and how people really want to engage in a fundraising effort, and that's how people want to engage with their money and with their social networks and their community. So we looked at it at all the different levels, and yeah, absolutely, we got out there as much as we possibly could. We were on traditional media, we were on billboards, we were on the newspaper. We wrapped the entire newspaper on the day of. We were on the radio, we were on television. We did TV spots that doubled up as online digital ads. We went live the whole day. We went live for the whole 24, well, not the whole 24 hours, but majority of the day. We went live on Facebook and did a huge, you can find the Facebook live broadcast on the page still, and go back to those. But it was a ton of fun. And we raised, we were able to raise over $13 million in 24 hours for charities.
That is phenomenal.
28,000 people gave, and they give on an average of, the average donor gives to 2.3 charities, so over 2 charities, and we had over 400 to choose from. So yeah, it was a great day, and it keeps growing every year. So I'm really grateful to be a part of it.
My favorite part was when I saw you doing the live broadcast and you were sitting there on the couch at one point. I was like, hey, I know that guy. And I was having so much fun watching what you guys were accomplishing. And I love the Giving Hearts Day. I love what you did this last year, because that is an absolute testament to anybody that's looking at you for strategic planning and execution with Brave, that if they have any doubts or questions about what you're able to accomplish, I'm just going to tell them, take a look at what you did with Giving Hearts this last year.
Yeah. And I think, and really, I'm not, being on camera is not it's not in my comfort zone. So really that was part of me eating some of my own dog food, was saying, okay, I'll get up there and I'll attack this fearlessly. Or as fearlessly as I can. So, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm really, 2019 we're going to go even bigger. So, February 2019, there's going to be more coming.
So, for Brave, what type of clients are you hoping to find? Is there certain sectors that you're in, or are you kind of open on that right now?
Yeah, I'm open. So in my background, I've worked in financial and healthcare and technology and nonprofits and, education. It's kind of been all over the place. We've done, restaurants, hospitality, all of that. So, the thing is, at least for me, there is no one, although I do really love the nonprofit sector, because there's that certainly fills my bucket, in a very unique way, in that it's incredibly fulfilling and to my own personal mission, but from a just strictly business standpoint, creative is creative, and I love tackling any creative challenge for any industry. So really, what I'm looking at in terms of how I define the clients that I'm looking for is really through that filter of, are you ready to do something fearless? Do you want to innovate? Do you want to maybe challenge the status quo of the organization and shake things up from within? And if so, then let's talk, because that's the stuff that we're really interested in doing.
Beautiful. I love it. So, for the listeners, they don't know this. Kevin and I have known each other since, man, what's it been? 1989, 1988?
Yeah, something right around there.
It's been a little bit of time. Um, and for backstory here for the listeners, is that Kevin has been awesome on the creative side. The drawings that he used to do back in high school were phenomenal. So, yes,
yeah, they got me into trouble sometimes though too. The spring break T-shirts didn't go over well with the administration, if I recall.
Yeah, I don't think Mr. Ed Raymond liked me too much either, though. So, yeah, but what I was trying to say is that, you know, you've been doing this for a long time, and it's really fun to watch you start to spread your wings and really get your stride here. So, what type of stuff are you looking at doing here in the near future? Do you have any clients that you're able to talk about, or is everything currently in dev mode?
No, I'm currently working with a community bank, and they're absolute wonderful client to work with. They really have a strong give back culture, so they're heavily tied into the community. It's almost like working for a nonprofit in that sense, because they are so mission driven. So that again that lines up really well, and they are completely fearless when it comes to trying new things, innovating, and if it's for the betterment of the community. So I work with them. I also work with Dakota Medical Foundation, who is the host, is one of the co-hosts of Giving Hearts Day. And they're, again, an absolute joy to work with. They, the opportunities there are just seemingly endless because of all the good work that they're doing. They're working on addiction issues. They're working on child sexual abuse issues. They're working on making healthier communities and workplaces. So I get to touch all of that stuff to some level through them. And really, but where I'm going and where I'm looking at into the future is also into more research-driven and data-driven strategies. So I'm currently doing a project, a market research project that's a customer experience project, and recently had a opportunity to go to San Francisco and be part of a master class that nice. Looked at qualitative field research, which is something that I never thought I would. I didn't even know what it was really until a few years ago. But it's something that really I saw an opportunity to get really smart about making strategic decisions with the right amount of data, and with kind of human-centered data is really what I'm interested in. So I'm hoping to have more of those projects coming in, and that's really what some of the future work that I'm planning.
Well, for any listener that's looking for someone to help them with their strategic creative, I'm going to have to tell them that they definitely need to get a hold of you and get you into their circle, because again, the testament of what you guys accomplished this last spring with Giving Hearts Day was just phenomenal. There's no other word for it.
Yeah, and it's a huge team effort, and it's and the nonprofits, they do so much of the work, but it is you talk about you can't help but get caught up in the energy and momentum of it. So it's definitely an honor to be able to be a part of that.
Awesome. Hey, Kevin, I'm going to throw a quick break in here, then I'll send you an invite right back. And I'm going to have some fun with the questions here, because knowing a little bit about your background in philosophy, I definitely want to share that with the listeners. And I like the fact that you laugh at that. And so I'm going to throw a break here, and we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
And we are back with Kevin Tobosa with Brave, based out of Fargo, North Dakota. Hey, so again, I have an unfair advantage over the listeners here. One of the key things I really have always appreciated about you is your open mindset, your future focus, and your long view. So are you able to speak to that? I mean, is there a philosophy that you've put in place for yourself that you've been operating on? Because, man, you are one of the most driven friends that I absolutely have coming from high school, where we know we're like most people just kind of disappeared. You have been an animal. So what's the philosophy there? What's the drive for you?
Gratitude, hands down. So, but I think where it comes from, if I'm, really honest, is, I struggle with depression. And so I appreciate you saying all those things, but, for me there's a lot of times, or there have been that I've had to go through. And I think, it sounds cliche, but I mean, those tough times really do kind of shape a person, because you either have to, persevere, or you have to ask for help, or you have to, you got to figure things out. And at some point you have to kind of face all that. So, for me, I've had those moments, and I think that, what I always come back to is really how grateful I am for the fact that I've got, people and support, and that there are people around me that can help me come back, that have helped me come back, and that have been there to support me. So, it's absolutely gratitude.
Nice. So on that note, I in the entrepreneurial space, I noticed that depression is something that a lot of the people that get into the really driven positions have all had to deal with. And I think it's one of those things that once they learn how to, and it's a growing body of work, obviously, for everybody, especially like with my depression. I know that it's out there, but I just have to manage it properly. But when I learn how to get that right emotional alignment, that I realize I'm unstoppable with what I do for a business. Have you been able to find that alignment for yourself also?
Yeah, I think for the most part, certainly it's still, there are still struggles. And I don't want to say I've got it all figured out, but yeah, it's absolutely something that I intentionally manage. Manage it through exercise. I manage it through diet. I manage it through religion, and through, just trying to find balance. So, yeah, absolutely. I'm aware of that. And I think it's really great that more and more people are actually talking about it. And that it's something that it's okay to, admit to and discuss, because, boy, you can certainly feel very alone in those moments.
Oh, absolutely. It's nice to see the stigma starting to be erased. There's still obviously a lot of more work there that needs to be done, but if we even talked about depression back when you and I were in high school, that would have almost been a black mark.
Oh yeah, I'd be afraid. Oh, they're gonna commit me now or something, right? I mean, that's what.
Well, but that's because we watched that happen to friends of ours that they got depressed, and all of a sudden their parents put them into a treatment center for 2 months.
Yeah, or stick them on some kind of drug or something like. Yeah, so no, I think there are a lot of ways to cope with it and deal with it and manage it that are much healthier than than what they used to do, for sure.
Absolutely. So are you still heavily involved with martial arts? Is that something that you're doing as part of your exercise routine?
Oh man, This is the confessional podcast, isn't it? So, um, yeah, actually, I was just at a seminar this last weekend, and yeah, I've trained for many years now. It's been a few decades, and so, but honestly, Steve, I've been the last few years, probably last 3-4 years, I haven't been training regularly. So yeah, it's something I feel this incredible guilt saying this, like actually saying it, because I was just, I was just with the group that I train with, and it was really nice to be back there, and it felt really good, to be doing it again. But boy, yeah, you want to talk about a guilt thing. I feel like I need to get back in there.
Well, maybe I'll pick on you about that. Don't feel bad. It's been 5 years since I've ridden on a chairlift.
Yeah, right.
And for people that know me, 5 years not being on a chairlift is a pretty big deal.
Oh yeah.
So what else do you got going on? I mean, you're talking about diet. Are you kind of more paleo based by that? I mean, what are you doing to help with your mindset and physicality and emotional? What have you done for tweaks or hacks to your diet to help you?
Yeah, so it's really doing I haven't gotten paleo or anything like that. What I'm really increasing is so that my whole medical situation really is kind of revolves around rheumatoid arthritis. And so what I'm on actually is an anti-inflammatory diet. Mm-hmm. So as you know, I enlisted in the military. I was 17. I went in right after high school, and I got processed out because of an injury. Well, it turns out it wasn't. I thought it was a back injury from wrestling. It turns out it was actually just it was rheumatoid arthritis. They didn't know it at the time, but so I'm actually on an anti-inflammatory diet, which involves a lot of probiotics, a lot of greens, a lot of fiber.
Nice.
Yeah, and then really combining that with exercise. So then I swim 3 to 4 days a week in the mornings, and so between those two things, I've really started to get my health back. I just cut out coffee last weekend, so it's going to be I'm going on a week here without coffee, which I definitely am feeling that, but I've been able to do it. So
yeah, that one, if I ever decide to do that, that's going to be tough, because I think I already drank a half pot of coffee today.
Yeah, boy, I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
Oh, I'm sure just the first day of headaches was probably the worst for you.
Yeah, well, there was the one moment where I actually went into, so it just goes to show how habitual we are in that, every morning I decided, okay, I'm not going to, my wife still makes a pot of coffee in the morning. So I was like, okay, I can't go there anymore. That's like, I got to change my routine in the morning to not do that. So I go and make my green smoothie instead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other day it was like 2 days into it, and I ended up going to Barnes and Noble to work for a little bit. And I didn't even think about it. I just walked right up to the counter and I ordered a nice coffee, and I went and sat down, and then it hit me, wait, I can't drink that. So, but the thought didn't even cross my mind, because it was completely out of the, it was habit, out of the context of the morning that I had where I'd set my mind that I wasn't going to do it anymore. And it was just ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous.
That's one of the key things that I've really been focusing on this last year, is remapping all my habits to help me be more effective and help execute better. So I hear you loud and clear that when you do something and it's new, that you still find yourself tripping into that, habitual aspect of it every once in a while. I absolutely can identify with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The power of habit. It's amazing. It's fascinating. And I, I think the biggest thing is the concept of, to change, you got to replace it with something. You have to have a replacement behavior in order to get that the behavior you're trying to change. Because just trying to cut it out, like I said, I didn't, if I would have had something else to replace that order with, it would have been totally fine. I replaced the morning coffee with a smoothie. I just made my smoothie earlier in the day. So, but yeah, absolutely. Just we go on such autopilot on so many things, we don't even realize it.
Oh, that's the truth. That is the truth. So on BizDev, to take it out of where, what type of stuff? Now, I know that you've been with some very interesting companies, especially a couple that were with people that we graduated with. What were some of the key lessons that you've learned over the years with that, from experience, that you've been able to help and execute on these days now? Like things that you may not have been able to do, but now you have the ability to do now?
Yeah. So key lessons. One of my big ones was just around space, and really it speaks to more my philosophy on how to start up a business. So the idea of a physical space and location is something that I have. There are cases where I believe in it, but for what I'm doing right now, it's something that I've intentionally not done in starting this business, simply because I'm much more aware of the bottom line and the startup costs, the real cost to starting a business.
That's the truth.
Yeah, and so and I know one thing that frustrates me in the whole startup culture, the quote unquote startup culture, is that everything you read out there and see out there is all about spending other people's money. I mean, it's all about it's all about runway and investment rounds and and how to get out, and that's just never been the type of business that I've been looking to start. So mine, to me, to me, entrepreneurship is about risking your own money. It's about trying to do something. Trying to do it in a way, it maybe not be the fastest way. It's not, it's certainly not the tech startup model. But I think it's a model that doesn't get studied enough anymore. Which is, what is it you really need to get going, and how can you do it? How can you start generating revenue right out of the gate? I mean, that was one thing that, like, if I was going to start a business, I needed to know I had revenue right out of the gate. So the whole idea of running at a loss is just, I just can't get past that concept. I just can't get that concept for me. And I know it works for other people. I know that's how a lot of people launch and launch big things rapidly. But I still think there's something for these for the old school way of doing it too.
Bootstrapping 101. Hey, so I can relate to that because my bail bond company, when I started that back in 2010, I took the proceeds from my insurance check when I totaled out my Jeep Wrangler. And I put that into the business. And if that's not a Hail Mary, I don't know what is. It's like, all right, I'm gonna use this to start a business. And I got lucky. I was able to hit positive cash flow rather quickly with that, and then be able to grow the business beyond that. But absolutely, at that point, office space comes off the table. You're looking at what you have for computer equipment and printer and everything else, and you definitely get on that bootstrap level. But the nice part about that, though, is that you're not beholden to anybody when you start to find that success.
Yeah, absolutely. And me, that's probably more the underlying issue, is that you know, that's the whole reason for doing it in my mind. That's the whole reason for taking the risk, is to be able to call the shots. So yeah, but boy, you gave up a Jeep Wrangler, huh? That'd be a tough one. That'd be tough.
Yeah.
I've always wanted one of those.
Yeah, that was a sad day for sure. That was not fun spinning that thing out up on a mountain pass. And yeah, those Jersey barricades definitely do stop you from going over the cliff.
Well, thank God.
So, so bootstrapping, a lot of people are so used to being able to get, financing and everything else. Now, have you been doing mostly everything out of pocket, or has this just been completely an iteration of yourself here?
Yeah, this everything that I've done. So I was really fortunate. Conditions were really good for me. I took a very calculated risk when I started this business. So I've been in positive. I mean, I had my first contract by 10 a.m. on the first day I was in business. That's
nice.
I mean,
nice.
I knew that was part of my plan. I'm going to get this signed and I'm going to go. Right. So I did that. I held off paying myself for the first 3 months. But I knew I was going to do that. But I was still, getting cash flow in, getting those things done. And then by the time that I started paying myself, I had money in the bank. I had the capital to be able to, buy the things that I needed to buy, whether it was equipment or software. So all the things that really I didn't need them to get started, but boy, they made life a lot better once I had them. And they made, they were good things for my clients as well. So, so, that's really the approach I took. And my vision is to keep that going, is to keep that type of momentum going, to be able to reinvest those dollars, to
Critical.
stay as lean as I possibly can for as long as I possibly. I mean, I want to stay lean, and then I want to be generous where I can be generous. So, working in the nonprofit sector, having a philosophy of gratitude, I'm giving money back. I've already, given money back, not because it got me anything other than I'm incredibly grateful for being in a good, healthy financial position. I'm really grateful for the community that's supporting it. And so I just absolutely am a firm believer that you have to give back in order to receive as well. So, but I'm going to operate as lean as I possibly can for as long as I can. And yeah, I think that for me is the learn, because early on in when I first, started my first business, back then that was in the 90s, and my God, we wanted Aeron chairs. We wanted a conference table with Aeron chairs around it. Right. I mean, talk about a stupid, ridiculous thing to waste your money on, and $1,000 chair. And we wanted whatever, 10 of them or something like that. So, so there's a lot of stuff that I've learned. There's a lot better way to spend money, than this ideal. So I don't want to play an entrepreneur. I want to actually be an entrepreneur.
Perfect. Hey, so I'm going to throw a quick break in here and we'll be right back.
All right.
So lean startup and bootstrapping, that you're speaking right to my heart there. That's one of my favorite things to do with a business. And it's so much fun when you're able to just jump ahead of some of your competition and realize I spent a 10th of what you spent.
Absolutely. And the relief of the stress of not watching, not flushing money away. Boy, that to me is, that's where the thrill comes in.
One of my competitors I was on the phone with him a little over a month ago, and we were chit-chatting different things, and they have already spent almost $500,000, and they've only gotten to a label.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's as far as they've gotten on their biz dev. And I'm like, wait a second, what are you telling me? And he was just like, yeah, so we spent money on this, this, and this. And then I realized that him and his team come from a very high-end corporate level. So they're used to getting those large salaries. They actually need them to maintain their lifestyle. So a lot of their initial budget has been going more to salary than to their biz dev. And I don't know, I feel a little sorry for their investors, actually.
Yeah, I mean, everybody pulls it off a little bit differently, and they may just, they may be onto something, but it's not part of my DNA. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. So lessons learned, knowing one of the companies that you used to be with, what are some of the other key lessons that you've learned along the way from either hitting walls or just watching things kind of fall apart or come together? What are some of the other lessons that you've been able to apply towards your business now, which has been helping you get the advantage and the leverage into place that you prefer?
Yeah. So well, I went through the recession. I had my own business at that time, in 2007, 2008. My clients were primarily master plan development resort communities, out in Montana and Idaho, and on top of that, the other portfolio of clients I was managing was in wind energy. In 2007, end of 2007 and into 2008, both of those industries stopped dead in their tracks. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just, they flipped the switch, they turned the lights off, and they were done. There were resort communities that were half finished, shut down. Construction ceased. Wind towers weren't going up. They couldn't even, Warren Buffett couldn't get a loan for energy projects, renewable energy projects. So I was in the absolute two worst industries to be in, and I had no clue. I didn't even make that correlation of how much those two, how because they were, one was a luxury item, the other one was sort of on kind of cutting edge, or alternative, that those, there was no stability to those, unlike something like healthcare or financial or whatever. Even though those markets also suffered, they also endured, and they kept going. So for me, there's going to be another recession that comes around. There's going to be another downturn in the economy that comes around. And part of what I want to be very intentional with is do I have, am I positioned to be able to survive that, so that I am not in a strictly in an industry or set of industries that will be among the first to immediately suffer. So that was a painful lesson.
I can relate to that. 07, 08 was a very, that whole downturn was painful is an understatement.
I'm still recovering. I'm still scarred from that.
Yeah, I can relate to that 100%. But, what I learned from that is that there were so many different startups at that time who were just operating on, their A round, B round, different rounds of funding, and people were just throwing money at them like crazy. And when that recession hit, they just got obliterated. They were just gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember driving through different parts of Colorado and seeing easy 50+% of all the storefronts shuttered with, for
Yeah.
rent signs in all the windows.
I had people calling me from California. I had photographers and designers and, people in the creative industry calling me from, the Los Angeles area, from, from up in Washington State, from out on the East Coast, calling, asking, like, because North Dakota, if you remember, right, North Dakota actually, as a state, kind of held stable due to oil and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that, we usually don't feel the bumps until later. We feel the aftershocks of it, but because we're not so directly plugged and we're not necessarily on the leading edge of things, although it's getting to be more so now. But because we had that, you had all these articles about, how stable North Dakota is. And I had people calling that had their own businesses, that had, people with way more experience than I had, very talented people looking for jobs, looking for anything, willing to move here from where they'd been based because of that. So it was a really, I mean, in that you want to talk about making your heart stop. Getting those kinds of emails and phone calls will, as a business owner, will make your heart stop.
Absolutely. And it's one of those, if anything though, it really adds to the humility of it all. That you realize
Mm-hmm.
that no matter how big you become, you can always fall.
Yep. That is the truth. And I think and again, if you come back to gratitude, this is where, boy, take care of the people who are taking care of you right now, because you never know when you're going to have to, ask for a little help.
No, that's the truth. That is the absolute truth. So, what are some of the fun things that you're getting to do now that you weren't able to do in your prior iterations with some of the other companies? Now that you've got more control, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to doing? Or am I digging into the private closet too much there?
Oh no. I'm happy to talk about all that. That's so I'm like I said, I'm very interested in the human-centered design practice that's really been kind of led by IDEO out of Stanford in California, and organizations like that. But they're one that I really follow a lot. And right now, currently, I actually am participating in a human-centered design workshop. So, and I've opened it up and invited other creatives in the area to be part of it. So, building a little team that's going to get a human-centered design project under our belts. We're all going to learn together, and it should be a lot of fun. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing how I could take some of those principles and apply it to the fundraising work I'm doing, to some of the marketing work that I'm doing, to some of the research work that we're doing. And I know I've read enough on it. I've read the books on it. We actually, I worked for a healthcare organization where we did apply some of the principles, many of the principles actually, of human-centered design to patient experience work and marketing, and the marketing of that experience. So, but it's been a while. It's been a few years. So this to me is both a refresher, and it's it's the fundamentals, and it's like martial arts or skiing or whatever it is. Those highly technical skills that you got to get. If you don't work them for a while, it's you got to get them back, and you should do it under expert guidance. So that's something that I've wanted to do it for years. I've never really been able to get people to buy in on the value of doing something like that. And so I'm taking this opportunity to say, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to open it up. Are there people who want to jump in and be part of the team and experience it, and let's learn together.
That is actually going to be a massive sector as we move forward in the future of humanity. So you're actually niching yourself in a great position there. There's too many legacy businesses that don't really see the waves coming across the ocean right now. And I'm glad to hear that you're already starting to put yourself on that forefront, because there are so many businesses like Sears. We're watching them just come apart at the seams, and others like that, where they don't understand how to grab the customer's attention. They ignored certain steps there. Toys R Us is another example, to where they didn't evolve with the marketplace, and we're seeing the results of that right now.
Yeah, it's innovate or die time for retail for sure, with Amazon out there and Walmart. But yeah, it's also, part of this too is the sense that as we adopt big data, that it's going to be really easy to begin to lose the face of the customer in processing of the data. So I'm a believer in data. I'm a believer in looking at data and research data, but I also very much believe that we have to keep. You can't turn people into numbers, and you've got to understand the numbers will only get you so far. All the promises of big data are great and everything, but I think there's a we have to be cautious in how we approach that, especially as whether business owners or in my case, I'm working as on behalf of other organizations. So as that steward, I have to be careful that we never lose that face of the customer.
I just always, especially today with the different things that I'm doing with my company, I'm just so keenly aware of how many things my professors told me back when I was in university that was just 100% wrong. So, I feel for these kids that are going to college these days that don't have practical experience, because they're going to come out into a job space where they don't understand. Their professor never ran a business. They've been a professor.
Right. Right. Or did they, what pain have they experienced from, having having employees, who are counting on you for a paycheck, or, the fickleness that, some clients can bring in, and what that can do to your business, to your bottom line, the economic turns. I mean, there's so many things that theoretically we all understand, we all get it. Theoretically, it's duh. Of course, of course that would be stressful, but until you actually carry that stress and walk in those shoes, it's something else entirely.
Oh, that's the truth. Yeah, there's one of my old business professors. I really appreciated him because he was an executive. He came out of the oil and gas space, and then he decided to become a professor. So when he spoke on a totally different level of the industry than any of the other educators that I had before that. So I paid a lot of attention to him. And the nice thing was my advisors let me petition into all of his 400 level and 300 level classes, even when I was still technically a freshman. So
yeah. Well, and there are professors out there who are running, business professors, marketing professors who are running business and marketing, businesses. And those are the people, if I don't know if you're familiar with Scott Galloway and his L2 series on YouTube. He's at NYU Stern.
Okay.
Is where he's at. And I would recommend to you and all your listeners, if you want MBA level thinking, and you've got this, from but from somebody who's actually running, who's writing about business, who's running a business, who's, really understands it. I highly recommend Scott Galloway and the L2 video series on YouTube.
Nice.
And the guy is hilarious. So,
well, humor always makes a lesson easier to learn. Nice. So I'm going to throw a break in here and we'll be right back with you, Kevin. Okay.
All right.
We are back with Mr. Kevin Tobosa on the Raven Rising podcast. Hey, Kevin, where are the best places for people to find you? If somebody's listening to this and they want to find you, where do I send them?
You can find me on Twitter at Tobosa, Ktobosa, and you can find Team Brave on Instagram at Go Team Brave.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you're also up on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And are you taking any customer connections through your Facebook at all, or is that just staying personal for you at this time?
Nope. Well, I'll talk to anybody anywhere. So yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we have a Facebook page. We're just getting things up and running on it. Yeah, definitely on LinkedIn. But yeah, most active probably on Instagram right now. So
I have to tell you something. I'm actually sitting here in a Boy Scout leader's uniform. I've got a backpack that's packed, and I'm about to run off up to the Boy Scout camp up at Wilderness because the venture crew took on a project. They are actually hand building a log cabin Adirondack shelter.
Oh, nice. Well, I know what an Adirondack chair is, but what's the shelter like? What makes it Adirondack?
So if you imagine like a small, let's say 10 by 12 by 10 log cabin, and take a third of the cabin off and just have an open side, so it's got a lean-to roof.
Sure.
So that's what our youth are doing, and they picked this project knowing exactly how much labor was involved, and they're having fun. It's beautiful.
Work is fun. Work is fun. Everyone listening.
Good.
If you love what you're doing, it is absolutely a blast.
That's the absolute truth right there. So on the back end of this, any of the key things that you're watching out in the market right now that you're keenly aware of, that if you're going to give a heads up to people to be prepared for, how are you seeing the future of the market rolling out in the next couple of quarters or even in the next couple of years? Is there anything that you're watching that's really sparking your interest?
I'm very interested in cryptocurrency. I have not invested in it yet. I am just watching it right now, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can about blockchain technology. Mm-hmm. But I'm very curious about regulation, when that's going to, if and when that happens. I'm interested in, I'm fascinated by it because it's sort of a Wild West thing. I mean, you got all kinds of shady stuff going on around it. And yet there's so much potential, to have a real, have a real, solid and just, undisputable, process and network for things like contracts and transactions and all of that. So I'm really interested in it. But yeah, so that's one thing that I think people got to keep an eye on, because that could, that to me is something that eventually the technology will become mainstream. And it was like when the web hit, when people I remember going and trying to sell websites back in the 90s. And I
Hey,
remember
hang on a second. I just
yeah.
had a memory of you, me, Joey Hederachi, and a few other people in the computer lab back about, let's just say junior high time.
Right. on the bulletin board systems, on the BBSs.
Yep.
And yeah, and I remember trying to sell. I mean, I couldn't, uh, trying to explain to a bike shop owner why he would need a website, and he said, "I will never." I remember it because I was just crushed. I was like 19, 20 years old, and he said, "Kid, I'll never need what you're talking about." They went out of business a few years later. Yeah, but But I think it's one of those things where, and I don't do web development anymore, but I was, I had a web development company early on. We did it. I understood it. I got to the point where, I knew that there was something about it that I needed to know, at least have some kind of knowledge about. And I think blockchain, more than cryptocurrency, blockchain is something that as a business owner or as an entrepreneur, you just need to dig in and understand it, because I think this is how contracts are going to be serviced and handled. I think you're going to find there's going to be all kinds of opportunity for business to be created around it, in servicing it and managing it, and on behalf of clients. I think there's a real opportunity for a person just to be a translator to businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
In that sector. So that's something I'm really. It's been a long time since a technology has come along that is so innovative, or has such potential, right? I mean, I've been bored with the last 4 iPhones. There's been nothing like it's like, come on, I mean, there's nothing. I have no, I have no burning desire to get a new MacBook or anything like that. I mean, it's just there's technology is just kind of what used to hold a real fascination for me and passion is kind of waned. But now there's something out there that's a little mysterious, and but I see a lot of potential with. So that's something I'm keeping my eye on.
To speak to blockchain coming out of my industry, a lot of people don't know this, but the Mezcal Regulatory Council down in Mexico just put rules into place to where they're going to be blockchaining all the mezcals.
Yeah, there you go. You've got provenance established right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
No question. Now, and then, yeah, I can only imagine what that does for, or what that's going to do for people who, in the industry, right?
The fact that you're going to be able to see exactly where the plants were harvested from, where the glass was sourced from. Oh, absolutely. It's going to give so much transparency that you can claim to be environmental, but with blockchain in place, people will be able to actually see exactly where everything comes from now.
Yeah. Yep. So perfect example. Yeah.
I need to get you in touch with one of my contacts. His name is Bryant, and he is one of the leading professors in the U.S. for blockchain right now. I think the two of you would get along famously.
Oh, I'd be too scared to talk to him.
Oh, God. He is so down to earth. He is so much fun that me and him were supposed to do a 20-minute phone call, and 4 hours later, we got done laughing with each other and got off the phone. I think you would love him.
So I'd love to understand it better. That's for sure.
Oh, he is so down to earth with his way of explaining it that you'd be just dialed in so quickly. You'd be just sitting there. I actually have 8 pages of notes from that conversation downstairs on one of my tablets. And even in the margins, there's notes. Just because he explained it so well.
Yep.
Anything else that you're watching out there in the market, or anything else that you're having a lot of fun seeing right now out in the business sectors?
Video. Video is something like I had been doing a weekly vlog for a while, and called the Weekly Rewind, and I'd done that with a former coworker, and we just had a blast doing it. And but more importantly, I mean, the response that we got off of it was so incredible, and it's something that businesses that can get video content right have a very, very distinct advantage. Now, video it's expensive. There are some barriers to entry with video, but the businesses that are willing to see the value of that, and to see the value of producing regular video content, I think it hands down from a marketing perspective have a distinct advantage. So that's one thing that will be getting going this year, probably right end of summer. You should start seeing Brave video content coming out.
Beautiful.
Because that's something that I absolutely am going to, I would be,
from what I saw you doing with the Giving Hearts Foundation, you're going to crush it once you start to get full execution there. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not an on-camera personality by any means. There are people that are way better at it than I am, but you just have to get out there. You just have to put yourself out there. And the biggest thing is authenticity, and that's what I tell clients. I preach it over and over again. If you're authentic and you have fun, it's magnetic when you put that video content out there, and it cuts through all the noise.
That is the absolute truth. To speak to that, one of my other guests, Mark Nendick, that one of the challenges that his business coaches, Mark Lack and Peter Voog, gave him was that he needed to do 30 days of video. He's like, I'm not a video guy. They're like, we don't care. You need to do this to get used to it. So he had to get through his 30 days of suck. Now his videos are beautiful. He's so much more of a personality on camera that forcing himself into the space was massive growth. So I can't wait to see what you start coming up with. It's going to be beautiful.
Well, I look forward to yours too.
Slowly, I'm getting used to being on the camera.
I do. I see him. I look forward to seeing him on there. So, yeah.
All right. Well, Kevin, thank you very much for coming on today. I do have to run off Boy Scout camp, but it has been a pleasure getting you on here, and I just don't ever see your face enough, brother.
I know. And we're just right across town, so.
Yeah, well, I'm like a hermit on BizDev.
Yeah, I know. You got to get it going. Keep the grind going, and then we'll crack those Heinekens.
Oh, that's a story for another podcast on another day. Beautiful. Thank you very much for coming on today, Kevin. And I've got to run again. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, thanks, Steve.
See you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Much thanks to Kevin Tobosa, founder of Brave. Hey, if you're looking to make a massive, massive impact with your advertising and marketing, and you're in the upper Midwest and you want someone that just nails it, you just found him. Reach out and talk to Kevin Tobosa. He's just begun. He hasn't even found his stride yet. And looking at what he's done in the past, I've been following him for years. He's got a lot of great things coming. You have no idea. So if you need massive impact and you're looking to just be able to be seen, Kevin Tobosa, get a hold of him. He can make it happen. All right, everybody. Find me on Twitter. Find me over on Facebook. Find me on LinkedIn. Make sure you share this. And if you find this on Tumblr, what are you doing over there? We're also over on Instagram. So everybody, please have a beautiful week. Thank you very much.